What's going on, everybody? It has been a while, but it is your boy Justin from Justin Paul Sports, and it is getting that time of the year. We've been off basically since the end of the playoffs. Had a couple shows here and there, but it is football season is right around the corner. So we are bringing back Cover 2 Cash, and we decided to do a couple things before the season starts. This episode right here is going to be all about 2026 NFL Bold Predictions. Let me first start off by I want to thank my sponsor, which is myself right now. So if you would like to help out this show at any time to help grow it and get some things, you could just shoot me some. You can just hit my Venmo right there. That's a cheap plug for myself. I don't care. I'm still kind of learning at this live stream thing, but hit me up there. Just any donations would be greatly appreciated. You will help the show. If you want to ask a premium question, absolutely go to the comments and we'll definitely take care of you. But with that being said, we are going to go ahead and get started. Let me introduce my co-host from the most from the great state of Mississippi, ladies and gentlemen. It is the new mustached man, Bobby from Bobby's Big Board. What is going on, Bobby?
What's going on, guys? It's good to be back posting. Took a little bit of a hiatus for a little bit, but now we're back making videos, having fun, man. Very excited for football to be back. About 2 months now, a little under 2 months now till opening kickoff. So I'm really, really excited.
Our guy, the fantasy football strategist, has already chimed in with a red face. I don't know what these emojis mean, but I'm sure that's the face he's going to be making come week 6 or 7, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Go watch his channel. He does great Dynasty content stuff, top quality stuff, just like Bobby. Make sure that you tune in as well and subscribe to Bobby's channel. Bobby just recently had a video with Luther Burden that took off exponentially, as I was in full agreement with him that he was probably the best receiver in the class last year. Just a quick, let's see here. See what I got here. I know I got something. This is Bobby's channel. This is what it looks like when you go to his page. Again, I don't have all this stuff formatted right, but make sure you go check out Bobby's Big Board. His most recent video is about tight end house Tyler Warren, whom he thought was tight end 1. We had disagreements on that. We don't have a lot of agreements going into today's categories that Bobby has whipped up for us. Yep, so absolutely. Tell us a little bit about our first bold pick of the day. Let's put on a little bit of music for our audience and go right ahead.
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring in this screen here, man. If you want to bring up that graphic, I got it shared.
Nope, there we go.
There we go. So yeah, let's. I'm glad I'm back in business too. Hey, you
already started,
Thursday, my friend. So
that's all right. You know what's funny?
Go ahead.
Wins aren't a quarterback stat, but let this queen go off. Go off, fantasy football strategist. I plug your show. That's how you thank me. Very, very disrespectful. I wouldn't expect anything less.
I will be honest. There's a reason why I'm wearing the Caleb Williams jersey. We'll get to that question in a moment. But as you can see, 2026 NFL season predictions, we're going to be going over pretty much everything possible in terms of awards, MVP, who we think is going to win the Super Bowl, bold takes, hot takes. So we're going to have a bunch of stuff in here. We're going to discuss what our predictions are. And if you want to take a brief look at this, we're going over what team will surprise everyone, what team will disappoint the most compared to what they did last year, who's going to win NFL MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. We're going to go over the rookies, best offensive and defensive rookies that we think of. Coach of the Year, which I think, honestly, Coach of the Year is such a layup for, at least for me. I think it's going to be a pretty easy one. 9, biggest fantasy breakout, biggest fantasy bust of the season, which you have a very interesting fantasy bust. I'm excited to get in on that. Biggest fantasy sleeper, bold prediction, hot takes, who's going to be the first coach fired. I mean, we're going to have a bunch of questions here. So we're going to go ahead and start off with question number 1. Which team will surprise everyone? And I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, this is one of 2 questions that me and Justin agree on. Everything else we have completely different picks on. But this was pretty obvious to me. I think the Tennessee Titans are going to outplay. I think they're an 8-win football team. I really think so. And they have a ton of offensive talent now. When Calvin Ridley's your wide receiver 3, I think that's really solid. I think their offensive line's underrated. Tony Pollard's, mid but serviceable. And then Cam Ward, I mean, he showed some flashes in the pan last year with basically nobody working around him. The defense is rough, but I think when you have a young, hungry team like the Titans, I think they'll really come out. Yeah, for sure. I'm not a big Tate fan, but I have to acknowledge the draft capital. So yeah, I love the Titans this year, and I'm going to go ahead and go straight to yours. You also have the Titans. What do you feel about this team going into 2026 compared to how terrible they were last year?
Well, last year was just an absolute mess for what was going on with the Tennessee Titans. I mean, there's nowhere to go but up. Nowhere to go but up, and turn that down a little bit. Nowhere to go up for the Titans. I do think that hiring Daboll over there is going to pan out well for them. Wan'Dale Robinson is already familiar with the system and has shown he can get 1,000 yards. He's definitely going to be a relief valve. I mean, I think it's the end of God, I keep mispronouncing his name. Aomenor? Is that his last name?
Elick Aomenor from Stanford.
Yeah,
he's super young, though.
Well, I think he's wide receiver 4 on that team. I think that we're going to see Carnell Tate have himself a year. I think that a lot of people were urinating all over the Titans pick with that. But I do think that what we've seen with Cam Ward, his ability to read the defense, his ability to be, make quality decisions with the lousiest team in football by far last year. There's a reason that they picked so high. I mean, I know the Cardinals are looking bleak compared to them this year, but we're taking a step in the right direction. We're going to change some culture. We're going to do some things here. As far as running the football, I mean, they were pretty mid at running the football last year. I'm not big on Tyjae Spears, but I think that this is just a potential, we both have the same agreements on how we feel about the South, whether it's the NFC or the AFC. I think in this case, they're going to be the most surprising team. I'm not sure if they'll do a playoff push, but I think everybody just expects them to be lousy, and I don't think they are. I actually considered the Cardinals for this spot, which I'll go over another time. But I think we both just are in agreement on that one, obviously based on what you said there with the Titans, both of our slides, one of the two that we had in common. But I think they're going to surprise people. I just don't think that they're going to be as bad as people think.
Yeah, I think the floor for this team is 6 wins because of the off. When you're saying Elick Aomenor is your wide receiver 4, I mean, I think he's super talented and super young too. He's going to develop into something, I think, a really solid wide receiver too. But we'll go ahead and go into the second one, which we're definitely going to have disagreements about. And I'll go ahead and start with mine. Who will disappoint the most next year? And I think it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville, I don't really see it. I don't really trust in the running back room here with Bashal Tutin. I know he really didn't have the fumbling issues last year, but I just think he's more of like a change of pace guy at best. And then you've got Trevor Lawrence, who's always been hit or miss. He was a lot better. He was a lot better last year with the new head coach and Liam Cohen. But I just think the defense is going to be really tough to work around, and I think that they missed the playoffs. I think the Jaguars are going to miss the playoffs, and I think that would be very disappointing for this roster because they just don't really have a run game. And Liam Cohen really needs something like a run game. And yet, Chris Rodriguez, I'm going to need him to prove it to me first. I mean, if Chris Rodriguez can come in there and really show to be a more than just a third and short back, I'll give it to him. But that's my pick. Let's go into yours, which, I mean, who would have guessed it? The Chicago Bears. What's your thoughts on the Bears this season?
Let's go.
Really good season.
All right. So the category is disappoint the most. All right. I have seen ever since January the countless times that they've showed Caleb Williams go over Keisean Nixon in the end zone. Countless. And you know what? It's kind of like, when the son beats the dad in back-to-back games of horse, but dad's also worked all day. His knees hurting because they didn't have Micah Parsons, and his shoulders sore because they didn't have Tucker Kraft. And they still spotted they thought they spotted the dad 21 points. All I've seen is how great Caleb Williams is. The thing is, not who I pick on the most, it's who will disappoint. Now, They won 5 or 6 games last year inside 2 minutes. That is that is not strategy for winning football. They shouldn't have won the game against the Giants. I mean, they got very lucky. They got very fortunate. It's not pick on the Bears thing because I don't like to pick on, poverty franchises, but somebody's got to reel them back in. I work with Bears fans. They're all just like, will you shut up, man? And I will not, because you need to get hit with some reality. I will say this. Caleb Williams did make some electric plays. He does have the arm talent. He does. There's no doubt about it. He can make the throws. But as we've talked about before, I wasn't big on Caleb at USC. I wasn't big on him coping. I'm coping. Let's see. The Bears are going to struggle in the interior, both sides of the trench. First of all, shout out for Eric for having some common sense. I will be joining him on the 21st of July for an NFC South preview, so go subscribe to his channel. The Fantasy Football says it's a tough fourth quarter year for Green Bay twice. Look, get all the medicine now. Get all your licks in, because in week one, you know who the Bears play?
I haven't looked at the schedule. I'm going to assume it's Green Bay.
No, it is not Green Bay. They are hosting. The Bears got the first home game of the season against the Carolina Panthers. And folks,
that's going to be.
Let me tell you something right now. You can write it down. You can write home to mama. You can send it across the ships. Bryce Young is going to have a better season than Caleb Williams next year. And with the most disappointing team being the Bears, they're going to go 8-9. They've got a first-place schedule now. We've seen what they do on field. And, the Bears also were pretty fortunate on the injury bug last season, and that's really hard to maintain consistency through. Just ask any 49ers fan about that. But, yes, most disappointing team. The tears are going to be flowing. I live in Arizona, folks. I'm going to be bathing in the tears from Chicago, 1,800 miles away, all the way down here. So we're just going to say the Bears easily the most disappointing based on expectations. And lastly, I'll say there was an NFL video put out today about the Bears, predict the Bears win total. Nobody's predicting them to have a bad season. Everybody's just 12 wins, 11 wins. Man, did you watch last year? Did you watch? We'll see.
I think with Ben Johnson, having a year to understand his personnel. I don't know if they're a 13-win football team just because of they led the NFL in takeaways on defense. I feel like that's a volatile stat. But I will say, I think the Bears are a good football team. 8-9 is probably their floor. So that could happen. But I think I have to believe in Caleb Williams and that offensive firepower. So we're going to go ahead and get into the next one, which is who wins NFL MVP? And you already know who I'm going with. There's a lot of good names here. I got to go with Caleb Williams, man. I'm wearing the jersey. Caleb Williams showed me everything I needed to see last year under Ben Johnson's system, which is a very complicated system. He definitely had his struggles last year, especially with accuracy. But the team also led the NFL in drops last year. I'm pretty sure they led the NFL in drops last year, the Bears did. And I think that's going to be improved upon. Yeah, I think it's going to be improved upon a lot. Ben Johnson's going to really dial in his schemes a lot more this year. They've got Colston Loveland full-time. They've got Luther Burden, who I think both of those players, rookies last year. Phenomenal picks by both of them. I thought Colston was a little bit overpicked, but he definitely showed out when he played. So he's going to have a chance to prove me wrong next year or this year. So love the offensive weapons. Monangai was a steal in the 7th round. He was a top 10 back for me last year in the draft. So, yeah, I think Caleb Williams breaks the curse of the 4,000-yard passer for the Bears. I think we're looking at 4,400 yards, 30-plus touchdowns, and I think 500 rushing yards, maybe 5-6 rushing touchdowns, because Caleb's got really unlucky with the rushing touchdowns. And I do need to shout out Rome Odunze as well, for sure. Rome Odunze is he's nice. He's nice with it.
Well, there's no excuses. I mean, he's the greatest thing since cracked eggs. Now, I will say that the Bears did draft really well as far as their skill position players, but defensively, jokes aside for a minute, I don't think that they're any elite players. They lost. I mean, their best corner went in free agency. There's just nothing back there. I think Yeah, like no, the guy. His name escapes me. I know he's one of their best players, but he had a bunch of picks for him. He went and signed somewhere else.
You're talking about their safety.
Yeah, just nonetheless, that's what I'm saying. There's no there's no stars on that defense that thinks that they're going to win enough games to get them to where you need to be MVP level. I mean, that's a really, really bold take to pick him to be MVP. He's super popular right now. He's on the cover of Madden. I mean, he had those electric throws against the Packers team that, was missing everybody and their mama. But hey, you beat the Packers. But nobody wants to talk about that dude's game against the Rams. Nobody wants to talk about him throwing 5 interceptions in 2 playoff games. We just gloss over it for some reason. We just exempt it. I don't know. It's crazy. Throw more picks than touchdowns in the playoffs, but you go, girl. You're going to be the MVP. So that's a spicy take for me. Spicy of 10. MVP? Look out. Let's talk about my MVP choice, Bobby.
Absolutely.
Moving on from here. Let's go. I think this is the comeback player of the year here. I think that this is the player that's going to go out there. I think the Bengals are absolutely ripe for a run, possibly in the AFC Championship game. I fiercely believe it. Defensively, they've got their struggles. You're going to have everybody healthy. You've got the most tenured coach in that division now. Harbaugh's gone. Tomlin's gone. I think that the Bengals and the Browns ironically battle for the division crown just based on those personnels alone. I mean, the Browns. But my take on the Browns goes down a little bit with, losing Myles Garrett, trading him to the Rams and basically giving them an NFC Championship game appearance in its own right. But I think Burrow's going to throw for 5,000 yards. I think he's absolutely going to be the MVP. I think that this is the year this might be his career year. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, I love what they got there. I love their scheme. When they're healthy, they can't miss. I'm on fire right now. That's right. The fantasy football strategist a game recognizes game, so shout out to him. Yeah.
I mean, it's very similar. Now, I will say Joe Burrow has had really high passing yard seasons already. He's proven that he can go to a Super Bowl, which Caleb Williams hasn't yet. But they're in very similar situations. The Bengals have very high-powered offenses with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, right? Chase Brown has proven that he can be more than serviceable, and the defense is just the problem. And I think for MVP, you're looking at a team that's going to have the ball on offense a lot because the other team's just going to be scoring a lot. So I think a pick like Caleb Williams or Joe Burrow, where the defenses probably aren't going to be top 16 in the NFL, and that means the offenses are going to be on the field a lot. And I think both of these guys have a very good chance. As long as Joe Burrow can stay healthy, he's been getting unlucky with the injury bug. As long as he can stay healthy, I think he's got a good chance to do it for sure.
I think career year for Burrow, and that's saying something. So
because he's had a really good season before as well. So
yeah,
he led the NFL in 2024, 2023. I mean, he had a 2023, I think, is when he led the NFL in passing yards. But now, who wins Offensive Player of the Year? This is a lot funner, and for me, a lot more fun of an award because it's not just best quarterback in the NFL award, which is what the MVP sadly has become. I mean, we haven't seen a non-quarterback MVP since Adrian Peterson in 2010. So It's been a long time, almost 20 years now. But my pick, Bijan Robinson. I think with him, the offense is finally clicking. I don't know exactly who's going to be starting at quarterback. I have a very good suspicion that the Crimson Tide quarterback, Mr. Tua Tagovailoa, if he can stay healthy, I think Bijan's going to be an automatic top 2 fantasy weapon, regardless of position. Because what did Tua do all the time when he was on the field with Achane? Check down to Achane, and Achane's great. Bijan's another level of running back. And if he gets all the targets like he did when he was at Miami, I know it's a different scheme, but I think Bijan, I'll go over one of my bold takes. I think he's going to have one of the historic seasons of all time this year if the Falcons can figure it out on offense because he is good everywhere. So that's my pick for Offensive Player of the Year. Also, Brock Bowers. Yes, for sure. I've been hearing that a lot.
Well, we'll see what they could do down there with Kirk Cousins, but that's
Kirk
an interesting
Cousins
take. Yeah. Well, so is Brock Bowers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the Falcons. I was like, what?
That's all right, Bobby. You've been drinking tonight, sir? Look, it's
No,
our first
I've
show.
not.
We got a little bit of rust on. I understand.
No way.
We've already got this wild take from you about Caleb Williams winning MVP. So, but let's move the tile to who I have listed, and I think it's this guy right here. I think Gibbs is the guy. I think this is going to be a career year for him. Not just because he went to Alabama, but just because of how electric he is in the NFL with the football. I had my doubts about how elusive. Let me take it back. I didn't know if he was going to be like a 3-down back in the league. I thought he was going to be more of like somebody that's going to come in there and just like split carries with like Montgomery, which they did as a change of pace speed back. And quite frankly, he's proven me wrong. He's absolutely killing it for what he does. He's got no Montgomery in the backfield there. I mean, they signed not
Pacheco.
Algier. Pacheco. So Pacheco will be spelling him. I think that there's something super electric about Gibbs. I think that Dan Campbell's going to have them guys running. The Lions still haven't fixed their issues on the offensive line. It really was the downfall of them last season. But Jahmyr Gibbs is something special. I think that there's a potential to hit 2,000 yards here. That's a hot take. Doesn't happen a lot, but this is the year I think that he has his career year. So Burrow has his career year at quarterback. I think Gibbs has his career year at running back. Easily. Yeah. Well, not easily, but I think he's offensive player of the year.
I mean, people are definitely excited about Gibbs this year because there's no David Montgomery, right? And I look, I'm a Chiefs fan. I was a fan of Isaiah Pacheco for sure, but he is just not who David Montgomery is. He's just not. I mean, he's not as powerful. He doesn't have as good footwork. And I think the Lions are going to try to shoe in Pacheco as that Montgomery replacement, and they're going to be a little disappointed because of the leg injuries and stuff that's happened with Pacheco. I think that's right. The only thing that's the only thing I'm hesitating on with Gibbs having just a crazy season, because all the things are making sense for him to be a just fantasy not breakout, but just a stud this year, is I think they're going to have to rely on him more than what the Lions are anticipating. And look, when Montgomery got banged up a few games last year, Gibbs came in and was just a monster. I don't know if he can do that all season, though. That's the only thing that I'm kind of worried about. So Gibbs is a definite – he's going to have a lot of opportunities to go crazy. But now, we mainly talk about offensive players, for fantasy and stuff like that. But this defense is arguably, in my opinion, more important for NFL, real-life football than it is, offense. So who's going to win Defensive Player of the Year? And I think it's Aiden Hutchinson, man. People forget before he had that injury – he was on I think he still had 10 sacks. I mean, he still was like top 5 in sacks like week 14. He got hurt in like week 6. He had a ton of sacks in the first few games. Instagram and social media really gets me hyped up because he looks ridiculous in all of the rehab and stuff like that I've seen of him and him training and getting on the field and stuff. He looks ridiculous. And I am excited to see what he's able to do in Detroit this year because he was a monster with a capital M last year until he got hurt. Now, it was a catastrophic injury. I mean, he broke his leg basically in half. So we'll have to see if that hurts his explosion. We'll see. But I think Aiden Hutchinson is like a dark horse pick that people just kind of forgot about because he got hurt.
It's not a bad pick. It's not my pick, but like you said, you want to see how they come back after a major surgery like that and see how they, how he pushes off the ball. I think you're going to see him get some preseason reps to really get some dirt on it and see if he's able to go. He did hurt it like week 4 and was just going crazy, but that obviously wasn't a sustainable pace. He could have been on pace for 30 sacks if he kept going like that, It's kind of wild, but that's a good pick. But my pick, I'm going with somebody who nobody talks about either because he's, on the rise. He's the same. I think he's a year behind.
Great season last year.
But it's my boy from Alabama. Will Anderson is my defensive player of the year candidate. I think that he's going to go out there and have himself an absolutely monstrous season. Gibbs me that. I'm a believer in Gibbs myself. But Will Anderson Jr. wreaks havoc. He's in a division that's not exactly strong. He's got Jacksonville. He's got Tennessee. And he's got Indianapolis. These aren't exactly elite offensive line. That's 6 games out of the year. That's going to help his numbers. Just a ruthless defender, relentless in going after the sack. I'm going to tell you this. Pete Golding, the head coach at Ole Miss, will always be on my poop list because when he was the defensive coordinator at Alabama and had Will Anderson, he was dropping this dude into coverage. That's not what he does. He is a get after the quarterback guy. He's got long arms. He's tall. He's just an absolute menace on the team. Just absolutely can make plays. I think we're going to see more Will Anderson Jr. this year. I think that there could be 15, 16 sacks. I really think he's going to be Defensive Player of the Year. What's this say here? Jordan Love for Defensive Player of the Year. Huge impact for the Bears defense and help them overcover. Do you know how to spell? Because I don't know what that last word is, pal. You need to go check. I don't know what that is. That's not how you spell it. So learn to spell, pal, before you come in here and talk trash on the Justin Paul Sports channel. And before you make your point, Bobby, I just got to give a shout out again to my sponsor, which is me. Last year we had some sponsors, but right now, if you just want to help the channel, help the cause, I've been getting some feedback on this new mic. It still sounds the same, so I'm going to figure out what's going on. But you can shoot me a Venmo. It's absolutely a donation. I don't beg for it, but it absolutely would help when I build this channel, build it something great. We talk sports every Wednesday. We're going to be on the show every Wednesday, and it's going to be every Wednesday, 8 o'clock. This is like a kickoff show on Thursday because we put this together. But remember, make sure you go check out Bobby's channel, Bobby's Big Board. He's got all kinds of Dynasty videos up there. He's got a Luther Burden up there. He's got a Tyler Warren. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt video is up there on that channel. So anything you want to know about your upcoming players and make some deals before the season starts, go check out his channel. But that's what I got for Defensive Player of the Year.
So the only thing, I think Will Anderson Jr. in terms of talent and overall ability to sack the quarterback, I think he's a top 5 guy in the league. The only problem that I'm worried about with him is I think there's just so many good edge rushers on that team that I don't know if Will Anderson's going to be able to just get all the sacks just because of how good that Texans defense is.
It's
in
the
terms
best
of the
in
talent.
football.
Yeah.
It's the best in football. The front 7 are great with Hunter and Christian Harris and Aziz. And then your secondary, you got Stingley Jr. and you've got Petrie back there. Like, they are a force. Like, they are a Super Bowl candidate every year because of that. It just, there's hands down.
Figure it out on offense. They have just been. I can't watch Texans football, man, because it's just so horrible to watch on offense. But that's the only pushback that I have for Will Anderson, because he's going to have to get all the sacks in order to, because you got to get at least almost 20 sacks. You have to lead the league in sacks or have a ridiculous amount of TFLs and forced fumbles to get Defensive Player of the Year. So he's going to have to get a lot of those and take them away from those other players like Hunter. But next up, we're going to go ahead and look at our rookies. For Dynasty people that watch this channel, these are some of the most exciting players in the NFL season this year. So, Offensive Rookie of the Year, I mean, I feel like there's no other option here for me other than Jeremiah Love. I think he's going to get he's got some guys on the roster like Tyler Algier might be a little bit more annoying than people might want to give him credit for. Tyler Algier is really good, but I think Jeremiah Love, he's got the talent. He was drafted ridiculously high, top 3 pick in the draft. I think Jeremiah Love is going to be the premier back on this Cardinals offense. I know you said they're going to be improved greatly, and I think one of the biggest contributors for that Cardinals offense is going to be Jeremiah Love. So I think he's my easy Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I'm glad you know how to use Google. Did you spell Google okay? Well, that's a good pick. I mean, but we're just going to see. I think the Cardinals, we don't know what they're going to do with Matt LaFleur getting his Mike LaFleur getting his first head coaching gig. And he's got James Conner still back there. And he's got Love, and he's got Algier, and there's Trey Benson. So there's plenty to feed around here. And I just don't know. He's a good pick, obviously, for the draft capital. But how many miles are they going to put on him on his rookie year if they're not certain of what this roster is going to be like? A lot of Cardinals fans are really, really have had it with Monty, the GM down here. But I think that he slowly pieced together a team that's got really good personnel. I think that Gannon, who's now the defensive coordinator back in Green Bay, much to my chagrin, but hopefully he proves me wrong. But he just wasn't a head coach, right? He wasn't offensive-minded, and they lost Kyler Murray with the injury. They're going through a whole new transition to quarterback. I don't know if they're just going to be a heavy run team. We're going to see what their quarterback situation is, and that's the one reason I pumped the brakes on them. Talent's all there. Everything, like you said, is gung-ho. I agree with all that. But because of those, I went with somebody a little different. And we're going to go back to the Tennessee Titans. I think I picked Carnell Tate, if I remember correctly.
You did.
And I think that this is a volume situation. I think he's going to be put in there as wide receiver 1 right away. And I think Cam Ward's going to be looking for him. The Titans don't have anybody at tight end that scares me. You know, Chig Okonkwo went to Washington. What do they got there at tight end? It's just a big old gaping hole from what I understand. And I don't see him as a run-heavy football team. I think we're going to see some things with Daboll, who I really like with his offense. So we got to go Birds. Shout out to B fans. But I just think that, I think it's going to be a case where Carnell Tate, 70 grabs. I'm going to go high. I'm going to go on the over for his projections. I think that Carnell Tate is absolutely going to be the offensive rookie of the year. There isn't a quarter. I don't think it's going to be Mendoza because I don't think he's going to play. And there was really no other quarterback. I mean, Ty Simpson's not going to play. So none of the first-round quarterbacks are going to be able to do it. And Love was a high enough draft capital, but I'm going to go wide receiver in this situation just based off the draft class and what I think the running back situation is going to be down here in Arizona.
So I got a question for you. So you said 70 grabs. So
yes.
Last year, Tet McMillan won Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. He actually had exactly 70 grabs for 1,014 yards and 7 touchdowns. And I think the offense is going to be very similar in terms of explosiveness, I think. So do you think he's going to be basically the same same sort of stat line, or do you think he can do something better than some guy like a Tet McMillan could do?
We'll just go par for the course and call it about that. Bryce Young finally got somebody he could throw the football to and did. And the Panthers made the playoffs.
Fantastic.
And the Panthers damn near beat the Rams at home. Uh-oh, what do we got here? You ready for a bunch of 0 for 40? 0 games with random 5 for 125. Well, how do you go 0 and then get 40? Is that KOR? I mean, I'm genuinely not making fun. I'm just confused there. How you go 40? Oh, like 0 yards, then a 40-yard game, then a 0-yard game. I see what he's saying there. But, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I like what Daboll does offensively. I thought the Giants were still a little premature to fire him.
For sure.
Getting Jackson Dart, and we saw what he did with Dart, and we saw how the Giants were playing. And then when he got injured, it essentially cost him his job. He didn't have Daniel Jones. And I think Daniel Jones going down to Indianapolis and turning into Indiana Jones, didn't help his case. But I didn't feel like Daboll lost the locker room. I think he should have got one more season, but he's probably relieved to be out of there.
Yep. I don't know if he'd be relieved or not. I don't know his personal feelings, but man, he was building such a good roster, especially on defense with Thibodeau, basically that front seven with who's the guy they drafted? Abdul Carter, just like some really good players. Brian Burns as well on that defensive side. And then you have, a hit at Scattaboo in the 4th round. He gets hurt, Dart gets hurt, and then you get fired because 2 of your better draft picks had hit. That just doesn't make any sense to me, man. And I thought the firing was really bad. But, I mean, I'm sure there had to be some pressure put on by ownership. Like, hey, GM, you got to get rid of him. But, anyways, pressing onwards, Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I don't really know exactly. There's a lot of answers here. And I think Sonny Styles is going to be the one because I think he's going to have a ton of tackles. It's going to be Carson Schlesinger. I think that's how you say it for the Browns last year. It's going to be a similar situation with Sonny Styles this year. He's fantastic. He's an athletic monster. I think he's going to rack up a ton of tackles for this Commanders defense this season. So this is a guy that I'm super excited about.
I wish the Commanders would get rid of that stupid logo. It just absolutely kills it for me. It just kills it. I'm indifferent to them as a football team. I mean, I like their color scheme, but they just need to go back to the Redskins, build a bridge, and get over it. If you're an anti-Redskins person, don't watch this channel. Go outside, go get some friends, get a life, because the Lord knows you don't have one if you're worried about dumb stuff like that. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants to be around you. I'm just saying, get out of here with that mess. You know what I mean, Deke? Anyway, let's go on to my pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year, and that's Caleb Downs. So this is the only player that I was upset that transferred out of Alabama when Saban retired. He was the only one that I lamented losing. Out of all those players that transferred out, from Isaiah Bond to everybody and their mama, but Caleb Downs was a freshman, had a good freshman season. He transferred out and went to Ohio State and still played great anyway. There's a reason the Cowboys took a risk here. It's not a risk. I think he's a slam dunk defensive player of the year. I just see a lot of tackles. I think he can handle players in the slot well. He's going to be one of the all-time great safeties. I think that this is a potential Hall of Fame player, and I don't like to use that word loosely like a lot of people do, but just the way he plays defensive football, he's got a mind for it. Relentless, great player. Rookie of the Year, I think it's almost unanimous.
Yeah, I think this is another great pick for sure. Caleb Downs, you said Dallas took a risk on him. They got him at 11. He was a top 4 player in the draft for me. I know he's a safety, so of course, safeties kind of go down the totem pole a little bit. But I mean, yes, exactly. But Brian Branch fell to the second round somehow. I don't know. I mean, safety.
The Packers traded their pick to the Lions, and the Lions took him. I was
he's such a great
higher.
He's not hurt.
Yeah, I'm higher on Caleb than I was with Branch. Branch is a little bit of a steamroller of a head. Like he's always been a little hot-headed. Great player, though. This Crimson Tide player is coming out, man. So I'll never, ever not put them over.
Yeah.
But we're going to – speaking of Alabama, though, just real quick, Bobby and I are going to be doing our SEC special again. We'll have the schedule up for that soon, 4 weeks in a row. We will do just the SEC this year. We're not doing the lousy Big 10 or the Big 12 or the ACC. We're just going to stick to the kings of college football in the Southeastern Conference. So,
yeah, I do want to shout out one other person real quick for Defensive Rookie of the Year, and that's the guy that the Buccaneers picked. What's his name? Reuben Bain Jr. That dude, when I saw him at Miami last year, he was just a wrecking machine. I would really like him to prove everybody wrong because I wanted the Chiefs to grab him badly. I thought we did great in terms of our draft, but Reuben Bain Jr. is such a monster. The only thing that I'm worried about is his arm length. I hope he shuts that down in the future because arm length, yes, it's important, but man, it gets over talked about. Just like hand size for quarterbacks. But anyways, yes.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that after this. Coach of the Year. Tell us who you got, Bobby.
So for Coach of the Year, I had to think about it one specific way. And Coach of the Year, it's a team, normally a first-year head coach or somebody that was really terrible last year that inherits a terrible team and does better this year. And it's kind of like they had a bad year and now they're having a great year all of a sudden. I think that's who they give it to a lot of the times. I'm going to say Coach of the Year just based off of roster and talent. I think Jesse Minter for the Baltimore Ravens wins this. I think that they are still talented enough, barring injury, to be an AFC Championship caliber team. On offense and defense. They are that scary to me. They just have to figure it out and be a little bit more consistent because this team has just studs all over the ball. Kyle Hamilton, you got Lamar Jackson, obviously, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers. I mean, Mark Andrews is still hanging around. They've got a ton of talent. They just have to figure it out and actually get the wins. I think Jesse Minter wins 12 football games this year as a first-year head coach, and I think that's enough to do it.
Man. 12 wins on a rookie head coach. I mean, he will have Lamar Jackson, and, rookie coaches do have an advantage because you don't know what they do.
Exactly.
It's what Ben Johnson had last year. Like, it happens sometimes when you're a freshman quarterback or a freshman head coach. I'm not picking on him there. I'm just saying, like, when you're a freshman head coach, people don't know your tendencies. They don't have any film on you. They only got what you've done as coordinator. So that's a bit of a spicy take. So I like it, though. that you're putting it out there and making a risk. Like we'll see. We'll see. Maybe Lamar. Maybe Lamar is rejuvenated. Maybe maybe him and Harbaugh clash behind the scenes, and we don't know.
Yeah.
And it could be a fresh start for him as well. I mean, Harbaugh went up to the Giants. So we'll see what he's able to do up there. They're just grateful to have him there. So I got some scratches on my desk here. Let's see. I can't recall who I had for the coach of the year off the top of my head. Oh, it's Canales.
This is another great pick because it's a team that they did okay last year, but they still disappointed a little bit. I think if this is a team that gets 11 wins, man.
They won the NFC South.
Mm-hmm.
What did I say at the beginning of the show? Who did I say? Bryce Young is going to have a better season than the guy who does this with the cheese. He does get out of here with that mess. Bryce Young, number 1 overall pick, Heisman Trophy winner, got drafted to the worst situation possible, absolutely detrimental to his development. He's already on his 3rd head coach with this guy. Canales has a full year under his belt now. They made the playoffs. They've got weapons now. They just need to get rid of Leggett. But we're going to go with Canales. I think that they win the NFC South. That is my pick to win the NFC South. I know it's spoiling it if you watch the NFC South preview that I'm going to have with eTough Sports. But I do think that the Panthers win the NFC South. I think you're going to see problems down there in Tampa. I don't think the Saints are going to be there yet. I think they're still another year away. They've been cleaning up a mess for half a decade down there. Yeah. And the Falcons, we'll see with my boy Tua, but I think the coach of the year, Dave Canales, Panthers win 11, 12 games, win the NFC South, and win a playoff game. Calling that right now.
The NFC South is so interesting, man. It's such fun football every single year, it seems, for ever. Since 2016, since the Falcons were really good, it's always been over. I think they can win 9-10 games. I think, but that's how I feel about every NFC South team except for the Saints. I think the Saints are probably a 6-7 win football club, but I think the Buccaneers can be good. I think the Falcons can be good. It just depends, man. I don't know who's going to win this division. That's why it's such a cool division to look at. But yeah, Dave Canales is definitely a good pick because if he makes the playoffs this year again and has 10, 11, or 12 win season, I think he definitely can get it. But now on to some of the fantasy questions. Who's going to be the biggest fantasy breakout this year? And when I think of breakout, I think a guy that's kind of on our people's radars already, maybe within the first 6 rounds of your traditional fantasy formats. But this guy's going to be a top 10 player in fantasy. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. Jr. He's got to do it at some point. This is the last season for me. If he does not do it this year, I have to be out on him. He's going to have a quarterback. I don't know exactly who it's going to be yet. If it's going to be Brissett, if it's going to be Beck. We'll talk about Beck in another slide here in a little bit. But I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to put it together. His film has looked great. His hands have been a little hit or miss, but I think Marvin Harrison Jr. can finally put the pieces together and have a 1,500-yard season. So that's what I'm thinking. Yes, I think this Cardinals team is going to surprise the shit out of people.
Yeah, they're underdogs in every game, and a handful of them by more than 7 points. I think that's just crazy. The roster's too talented for them
all
to be
over
that
the
loud.
place.
It's just they could use another pass rusher, but we're going to have LT Overton down here. He didn't play much last year. You got Mac Wilson. You got Budda Baker.
Will Johnson at corner. They silently had a really good draft this year and last year.
Yep. Yeah, they're quarterback away. That's a good pick, but 1,500 yards when not knowing who your quarterback is a bold take, so I like it. That's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. But your pick, look at that. Look, you said they're a year away, but you must be thinking about on the defensive side struggling because offensively – wow, what a player to pick here.
It's going to be him to Olave. I think Olave is top 5 in receiving receptions in the league. This is going to be a machine that's going to get fed. I saw it when they played the second half of the season. If Olave can go a whole season without getting concussions, I think that's the guy who's going to be his target. Tyler Shuck did better than I anticipated. I really thought Rattler was going to hold on to that job last year. I didn't think he was a placeholder at quarterback. And it's like the biggest shock. So I think that Tyler Shuck can get, 3,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, less than 10 picks. I think that, they also got that wide receiver from ASU, Tyson, I think it is.
Jordan Tyson. Yeah, I watched him live.
Yeah.
He's legit if he can stay healthy. He's a stud.
We're going to see the Saints, I think, are trending up. Like I said, still a season away from really being something super amazing. But as far as a fantasy breakout, I think that you're going to see players that are in tank mode acquire Tyler Shuck for some of those picks. I think that he can have that kind of season. Could be a great QB2 to have, but this is fantasy breakout question. This is who I'm going to go with is Tyler Shuck. Let's see what does it say. W pick. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So I'm going to say this. Do you remember? I want to say it was 2021, maybe. They put in Drew Lock. The Broncos did. They put in Drew Lock for the final 5 games. And he went 4-1 and was putting up great stat lines. I have Tyler Shuck in a lot of dynasty leagues because he was so cheap and no one believed in him. I think we're going to see a similar situation to Drew Lock. He's got the weapons, and I hope he does good because he's a really nice dude. But with the injuries and some of the inconsistencies that I saw on tape, I think it's going to be a Drew Lock all over again. But I hope, look, Saints are the closest NFL team to where I live. I hope that they do good, and I hope I'm wrong. But I have a really bad feeling that Tyler Shuck's going to be the next Drew Lock. But we'll go ahead and go on to the next slide here. The biggest fantasy bust. You have a very interesting pick for this that when I first saw it, I was like, that weirdly makes sense, which I would not. That whenever I had that question in my mind, I did not have that player on my radar at all. But I'll go ahead and talk about Kyren Williams. He's a guy that's kind of in the top first 5 rounds, I think. He's always like a top 10 back for the past 3 seasons now. But Blake Corum came on strong last year. Towards the end of the season, kind of took a lot more of Kyron's workload than people were comfortable with because Kyron kind of slowed down. I think they have a 2-headed monster with the Rams, and they already know that they're shoe-in for the playoffs because of how crazy that roster is, and McVay's a great coach. I think that they're going to keep them both on a balance for carries, and we're going to see Kyron be maybe running back 20 to 25. I think the backfield is going to be split 50-50, and it's not. And the only problem with this is, with the Gibbs-Montgomery situation, they both have their own individual roles, which makes them both valuable in a way because Montgomery gets the goal line touches, Gibbs gets all of the receiving work. Kyren Williams and Blake Corum are the same player. They're the exact same player in terms of their role. So they're just going to utilize both of them the same way, and they're just going to split the carries, and I think that's going to make them both useless in terms of fantasy.
It's not bad. I mean, it's not. That's a good, a good way of breaking down how it's a fantasy bust. Doesn't mean he's going to be a bad football player or unproductive, but that just means he's not going to maintain the level that he's been doing for the last couple of years. I mean, he is money by the goal line, but they do have another option down there, and I think the Rams are smart enough to play situational football. So what's going to cater to the team's needs as far as your fantasy needs. So makes sense. It's a good pick, Bobby.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and look. When I saw this, I was like, wow.
I'm ready for the fantasy football. I'm ready for him to just say, what the H? But it's this guy who I like, Drake May. But let's be real. The Patriots had a Cinderella run. They had a last place defense, or the last place schedule last year. They got very, 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 very fortunate to beat the Broncos. The Broncos should have been in the Super Bowl. It would have been a much better matchup to see Seattle, Denver too. But listen, I don't know if they're going to do the fantasy numbers that they're going to do again this year. I mean, Diggs is gone. Did you hear the news about Stephon Diggs today?
Yep.
Yeah, not good. So
I mean,
Diggs is out of there. Who
I don't think anybody was surprised.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was a little bit surprised when when you switch it. But nonetheless, I would expect that more from Caleb Williams than I would Stephon Diggs. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Drake May. And quite frankly, I just don't see him replicating. This is another situation where they got you on film. Can Ramondre Stevenson carry you again like that? Who is he going to throw the ball to? Who's the wide receiver one that's really an elite threat down there? Who's their tight end that's really going to get them the passing yards that he's going to need and the touchdowns that he's going to need? It felt like he had a great season, played in the Super Bowl, good kid. I like him. I just think fantasy bust, he's got it written all over him. I don't know if the Patriots are a playoff team. Plus, you got all the scandal going on with Vrabel. I don't know if that just blows over. It's just kind of hanging around like a cloud there. I think his Super Bowl run passed. I don't think it's going that kind of run again. I don't. I think
they did pick up A.J. Brown, but like the rest of that roster, you got Romeo Doubs, A.J. Brown, and then Boutte. That wide receiver core, I'm not a really big A.J. Brown guy because he's just an ex-wide receiver. But,
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. My speaker just went out, so I'm just having all kinds of technical issues. I can hear you. It's just coming out of my laptop now instead of my speaker.
Yeah, I do think May can definitely see some regression here just because they have another year of film on Drake May. The rushing upside wasn't what we thought it was going to be also. Drake May definitely had some games where he had some rushing upside, but I don't think he's going to have another 500-yard rushing season. So that's definitely a great pick. Next up, who's the biggest fantasy sleeper?
100%.
Fantasy football strategist. You're going to love me for this one. This is a guy that I think just now is getting on people's radar. When we were on this guy back, in 2025 at the beginning of the year. So who's the biggest fantasy football sleeper? This is a guy that really nobody's talking about. It is Jordan James. Dude.
Wait, you got it as fantasy bust?
Oh, that does say bust. That's okay. Don't worry. I messed up my graphic. He's going to be the biggest fantasy sleeper this year. It's going to be James. Now, listen, this kid was my RB3 in the running back class last year behind Genty, Travion, and then it was him. He is phenomenal. He went to the 49ers, which he did not see barely any work at all. But when he did see some work in week 16, week 17, he was phenomenal. So I cannot wait to see what Jordan James does this year. I think CMC, if he does, if he doesn't get hurt, then Jordan James maybe sits another year. But Garendo, I've heard, is out of shape, and he's not going to be really a factor for the 49ers this year. Jordan James is firmly that RB2, and he's going to be on a lot of people's fantasy rosters this year, and I think he's going to surprise a ton of people. Interesting.
Hey, that's why it's called, that's why this segment is what it is. You want to get those sleepers, right? And I'm going to go with my boy A-Rod. So, and the reason why I'm doing this for a sleeper pick is because it is his farewell season, and he's got a competitive spirit even into his 40s to where he's able to absolutely just sling the ball. He had a really quiet, good season last year in Pittsburgh. He's going back to a familiar coach in Mike McCarthy. He knows the offense. He's still kind of lacking weapons there. Roman Wilson's 5'3", so I don't really like what he's got there too much. But I think that you could pick him later as your QB2 later in the draft and have yourself a nice backup quarterback in case your starter gets injured or some spot starts or favorable matchups that Rodgers won't do you wrong. They're going to be able to run the football just fine. I like Aaron Rodgers as a sleeper pick. So I think that's just kind of where I'm going with that. But
yeah,
where else I'm going with Bobby? Oh, go ahead.
I think, honestly, Rodgers, he had such a bad ending to the year last year. And I was I knew his last throw last year was a pick six, right? There's no world where Aaron Rodgers was going to go out like that. And you're right. The Pittsburgh Steelers season last year, quietly good season with a really bad supporting cast. The Jets season was quietly pretty solid as well. But now, I mean, I think that wide receiver core is really underrated. You've got DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman Jr., who they got, who's a very solid wide receiver when healthy, and Jeremy Bernard, who was a top 5 receiver for me in the class this year. And then they brought in Rico Dowdle. They still have Caleb Johnson if he can put it together. I think, dude, this Pittsburgh Steelers offensive roster is a lot better than people are saying right now. And I mean, this is a good pick for sure for sleepers. It's just
so real
old,
quick,
right?
He's just up there in age, that's for sure. Parker Washington, isn't he on the Jags?
Yeah.
Yeah, he could be easily not really a sleeper. I think he's wide receiver 1. I picked him up in every league I possibly get. But you know what else we could pick up, Bobby? We could donate to the show. This is Justin Paul's Sports Channel, where I do all sorts of sports betting, fantasy takes with Bobby, anything that comes to sports, anything that comes to college football, NFL, college basketball, maybe some baseball, definitely some UFL, definitely some CFL. Speaking of CFL, I do have myself I just want to do a little quick break here and promote my CFL, so just hang tight 1 second here and check out this little 40-second clip.
We are playing Montreal in Montreal. Right. We are playing on the road. We are playing in a dome. We are playing in front of 65,000 screaming fans. Men, we got them right where we want them. We got them right where we want them.
That's right. Let's see. Shout out to Bobby for making that for me. He does all the stuff like that for me. So I got to give it up for him. He does it free of charge. I couldn't ask for any better help than that. I mean, I'm so thankful for those. Helps me grow my business. Go to winnable.com/JustinPaulSports. I post free picks, all football games, whether it's CFL, UFL, college football, NFL. Don't do the arena leagues because I'm not a degenerate. But one of my CFL premium plays right now, I'll give it away since it's mid-game, was the Edmonton Elks -3. Right now they're up 10-0 at home. So my premium plays, I've always had winning seasons when it comes to sports betting. I just have winning seasons. They're not 70%, they're not 100%, they're not 90%. I don't do nothing goofy, but you do win money. My picks are $9.99 a week. That's very reasonable compared to these sharks that just want your money, don't care about getting your results. Justin Paul Sports is where it's at. Follow me on X at Justin Paul Sport. No S. The S won't fit there. Subscribe to the YouTube here or TikTok, Justin Paul Sports. That's more of a little fun channel over there on TikTok. I post mostly Alabama stuff. That's more my collegiate channel. But nonetheless, Bobby, we got 11 viewers. I want to thank you guys for tuning in right now. So shout out to our viewers. Sure. And shout out to the fantasy football strategist watching this entire stream. I really appreciate that, big dog. He's going to do some, and maybe you could jump in on, Bobby. Maybe we'll do a Bears-Packers live stream. I know you got kiddo stuff on the weekend. Bobby's got some young kids, so it's hard to get him on the weekends. But maybe we'll do something to that because redemption is coming. Caleb throws it to Kayzion Nixon like he did last year. So, nonetheless, let's keep on going. Let's keep on trucking.
So, for number 12, what is my biggest bold prediction this year? And that goes with my offensive player of the year take. I think Bijan, with the extra game help, he's going to break the scrimmage yard record. I think he breaks Chris Johnson's scrimmage yard record. Terrible news about Chris Johnson. I want to go ahead and talk about Chris Johnson. One of my favorite running backs of all time. Absolute stud. ALS is, terrible, terrible disease that we don't really know much about at all. And hated to see, a legend kind of look like that. But I think with that, I think Bijan goes out there and breaks it and does some sort of CJ2K celebration when he does it.
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of running backs in the league. I think a lot of running backs in the league are going to pay tribute to him. I mean, I did have I had him the year that he got 2,000 yards.
Yeah, 500 receiving yards too on top of that.
Yeah, league winner. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But speaking of this was, I'm just going to throw a little curveball. Speaking of that, did you hear the news today that fantasy, since we're talking fantasy, Yahoo Sports, who I used for fantasy football for years and years, but finally got on the sleeper app. But Yahoo Sports announced today, for those that don't know, we got 12 viewers in here, that they're introducing a college football fantasy game. And it's only for the Power 4 conferences, so it's only for the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, Big 10, which is still about 45% of college football. That's where most of your premium talent lives anyway. I think they could have added the Mountain West in there. But hopefully Sleeper picks that up, and we can get to where it's, they pick up the Mountain West and maybe pick up that new Pac-12 because you've got players down there. But I didn't know if you knew that. But let's go to my bowl, or did you have more you want to talk about, Bijan?
No. Let's go ahead and talk about the Bengals, man, because I know you had Joe Burrow win an MVP.
This is it. This is the play. I said Rodgers is going to have – he's a sleeper pick. I think he'll have a good year with McCarthy. I'm a little more apprehensive on that Ravens pick just because you just don't know with a first-year head coach what they're going to do. Isaiah Likely's gone off the Ravens, so you've got – better hope Mark Andrews steps up. They gave him the extension. Rashad Bateman, is he ever going to have a great year? I mean, Zay Flowers really that dude? I think the Ravens take a step back without Harbaugh there for the organizational part of it. And I did like the Browns. This would have been the Browns might have been my AFC North pick, as crazy as that sounds, had they kept Myles Garrett. But we don't know what the quarterback situation is. Listen, one of my bolder picks could have been Deshaun Watson being comeback player of the year. I think that, as crazy as this sounds, a lot of people like to pick on him. Rightfully so. He brings a lot of stuff on himself. But I feel like what I've seen from him working out, I think he's passed a lot of it. I think he's really dedicated a lot of time to this training coming off this Achilles injury, and is finally, for the first time since his time at Clemson, is really focused on football. Browns are paying him a ton of money. I'm not going to be surprised if he's not the week 1 starter. And if he just has 3,000 yards passing with 20 touchdowns and 5 picks, and Quinshon Judkins has a solid year with 1,000 yards, and he can hit Judy and Bond, and the Browns could be a playoff team again. They're too talented defensively to ignore them. And they did get Jared Verse. People are just dismissing that. And he's an all-pro defensive end I thought the Browns won the trade because they got the first-round pick from the Rams, and they got an elite talent that's young, and they got out of the Garrett contract. I mean, Myles Garrett is he's in his late prime years. I think it was a good trade for both teams, right? But I think that the Browns just have, now you've got First, you've got Schlesinger, you've got the secondary. I mean, good God almighty. The Browns and the Bengals, I think, could be the 2 teams contending for the North this year.
And that's just how good the AFC North is. I think the Ravens are going to win the North, but the North is one of the best divisions in football where if the Browns can figure out the quarterback situation, I think Judkins is – I don't think he's it, man. He was not good in the latter half before he got hurt, obviously. He was not doing too much nothing. So I think their run game's going to struggle heavily. And then the quarterback, who knows? So I think that's going to hold them back. But I do think it's going to be Ravens, Bengals, if they stay healthy, Steelers. So I'll go ahead and go on to the next question. What is our biggest hot take? And for me...
What is our biggest hot take, ladies and gentlemen?
I think the Cardinals beat out the 49ers for the NFC West.
Woo!
Yeah, I think the Rams might absolutely just kind of fall flat on their faces. I mean, they have the running back room pretty good in terms of the injuries. I think Stafford doesn't do what he did last year. I just don't think they're going to be able to do that. And the defense with Myles Garrett, I think the defense is going to be great. But you want to say hottest of hottest takes. I think the Cardinals win the NFC West. That's pretty hot, but that's what I'm going to go.
Lord have mercy. That's listen, folks. If you're betting and you want to trail Bobby, the odds of that are absolutely astronomical. If you put $100 on that, I think there's 16-1 to win the West, and that's a 14 division. So you'd really be putting all your eggs in a basket, winning the West. If that happens, then the coach of the year is LaFleur. It's nobody else. It's nobody. It's a unanimous.
Absolutely.
If they win the division, he's unanimously the coach of the year, and everything's off. Phoenix would build him a statue. You're telling me that with the unknown quarterback situation, that Marvin Harrison's going to have 1,500 yards, and the Cardinals, who are the most underdog-ridden team in the history of the league, where they're underdogs in every single game. Wow! Like I didn't know that. I thought it was when you sent me the slides. I didn't put it together. They were winning the West. I thought it would be more so the Cardinals wouldn't be the worst team in the league, but to be a playoff team. Michael LaFleur would be coach of the year.
It's a perfect segue to what we're about to talk about. It's beautiful. Look, we didn't discuss our picks prior. I made my graphics first, and then he told me his after the fact. So he didn't.
Yes.
He had no idea what my picks were. So we're gonna go ahead and go to your pick. Carson Beck is the QB of the future, and
I believe it. I do.
My hot pick. Look, if it goes off, which it's the hottest take that I could possibly get. And Carson Beck goes out there and is a baller. We're looking at some legendary.
When we're done,
Cardinals.
When we're done, you need to go back and clip what you said about the Cardinals and the 49ers and post it in the Fantasy Football Dynasty so Deke sees it from your mouth. Not from mine, from your mouth about the 49ers. Because Lord have mercy, that is quite the spicy pick. But I think that the Cardinals struck gold here with Beck. A lot of people like to give him a grief because of his eyes going this way and because he dates questionable women that are attractive but are on the internet and transfer, this and that. But let's be a little bit – it's not look here. Everybody says spicier pick. Is it really –
No shot. No shot.
So it's not as spicy as that one.
No.
Cardinals being a playoff team is way spicier than this. I think that, Carson Beck has won an SEC championship. He's played in big games and won big games in college and was one drive away from beating Indiana and winning the national championship. He threw an interception late in the game when you're running out of time and you got to force decisions like that. But I think that he's the best quarterback on that roster. And I don't think that he's done anything that's questionable on the field to make me think that he's going to be a bad quarterback. Georgia fans have been really hard on him, unfairly, but he went to Miami and took them to the finals. So he wins big games. He's been a winner in big games. I don't want to say he wins it because wins on a quarterback stat, but he doesn't fold under pressure in playoff games, in SEC championship games, things along that sort. They won a really tight contested game. Was it Ole Miss? He scrambled for the game-winning touchdown in the Sugar Bowl and beat them, in Louisiana. So I think he's the guy, and he makes good throws. He makes good reads. He's an older quarterback, which helps at that position. I think that they got their guy.
A ton.
Yeah, I think this isn't not like a Tyler Shuck situation where he's 26. I think there's big game. Not folding, played in tough conferences, played in playoffs. Very solid quarterback. And I don't think that the Cardinals, even if they pick first overall, unless they get in the Arch Manning sweepstakes or something like that in a heavy draft class next year, I think that they're going to go with him, and they might go after somebody like Jeremiah Smith. Can you imagine Jeremiah Smith paired up with Marvin Harrison?
And then you got Michael
Wilson,
what's his name?
Trey McBride.
Yeah. Michael Wilson, Trey McBride. There's no way they'd go for Jeremiah Smith. It would just be backyard football for the Cardinals. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. Who's going to be the first coach fired? Look, we already know who it's going to be. Darren Glenn. Okay, he should have, in my opinion, he should have already been fired. But I get it. The Jets are like, look, we've been through this so many times. We just have, please, just work out. I want to say that they're the first team ever in NFL history to not have a takeaway in a season. Is that? I think that's
interception. It was
The
interception.
interceptions. Yeah. They did not register a single interception on defense the entire NFL season. They're the only team ever to do that. And he's a defensive coach.
What if I told you? Because I think he's the coach I had as well. Is that right? Is this the only other one that we agreed on?
Yes, this is
This
the
is
only
the
other
one
one
we
that we
agreed.
agreed on. I think this is a easy slam dunk. Glenn's gone by week 5.
So week 5 is really aggressive. But
He should have already been gone.
there was a point last year where he there was a point last season. Real question. Sleeping.
Yes, he was asleep at the combine, and they caught him on camera. I'm like, dude.
It's there was a game last year. I can't remember which one it was. But it was going into halftime, and the Jets were winning the game. And he tried to approach Garrett Wilson and like congratulate him or something along those lines. And Garrett Wilson was just like, "Man, get the hell off me." I think he's already lost the locker room. They've been obnoxiously bad. I mean, I don't care so much about certain statistics about not you getting an interception because interceptions are kind of a fickle statistic. Turnovers in general aren't really something that you generate with efficiency. Like it's a year in, year out thing. It's really just a wonky stat for me. And I think that the Jets are, and I don't ever like to say this. I don't like to say this, but they're going to be in full tank mode for Arch Manning. They're going to do it. And they're going to fire everybody. And I think they might get more. I think they're going to trade Garrett Wilson in the offseason to acquire picks. I do think they're going to load it because they got 3 first-round picks coming up in this draft, right? And it's a good draft to have those multiple picks in. They got the Cowboys pick for Quinnen Williams, and they got the Colts pick for Sauce Gardner. And those aren't exactly elite teams, so I think the Jets could have 3 top 20 picks in this draft.
Yeah, and they had 2 first-round picks in this draft.
So imagine the Jets.
Weapons.
Either the Jets they extended Breece Hall. I imagine that they give Garrett Wilson either they trade him or extend him. Now imagine they get Arch Manning or whoever they want at quarterback, number 1, and then they go out there and they get one of those elite wideouts in this draft and they're going to have a new coach. And I think that this will be a situation to where whoever steps into that position is going to have a number 1 pick in the draft, 3 top 20 picks, and they'll have a fresh start with the locker room. I thought trading Quinnen Williams was a bit much. Same thing with Sauce. I think Sauce is a bit too hyped personally, but you traded young talent and acquired picks. But we'll see. I don't know who will take that job, but I think the Jets are going to have actually something in the future after this. I think Glenn Doyle will be the head coach for the Jets in 2027. Maybe. I think you might see, I don't know who would take that job, man. But somebody will take it with those kinds of attributes on the table. You got talent you don't have to pay for a whole lot, and the quarterback of your choice because Geno Smith is not going to be that guy. He's shown that he can play good football if he's got some protection. Last year on the Raiders, nobody was going to play quarterback well. Nobody. That worst offensive line I've ever seen was last year for the Raiders. So we'll see what the Jets do, though. I'm curious to see what they do. I do think he's the first coach fired. Week 5 is really crazy, but
Dude, he should have been. Well, you bring up an interesting point. If they're going to intentionally, if the front office and the ownership know, hey, we don't need to be good this year, do they just give him another year, even if they're bad, even if he's bad, like even if the team only wins 3 games?
I think that you have to see where they're at the mid of the season, right?
Yeah.
You just got to see because the players aren't going to tank, the coaches aren't going to tank, but the ownership. But again, this is a generational class coming up, which you can find on Bobby's channel and on the Fantasy Football Strategist channel with these upcoming dynasty players and stuff like that. But even just from a non-dynasty, dynasty standpoint, they got great players on defense coming in this draft. It's all around elite class.
Yeah.
Before we go to the next slide, which makes the Micah Parsons trade look like highway robbery. They robbed Dallas. Because who did Dallas what did they do with that first round pick? They traded away to the Jets, if I remember correctly, to get Quinnen Williams in a weak class this past season. Now, next year, I don't think the Packers are going to be picking in the top 20. So you traded Micah Parsons for 2 post-20 draft players. An elite pass rusher, make no mistake.
He wanted out of there anyways, I'm pretty sure.
So, and the Packers paid him immediately. And it's just unfortunate. That's when the Packers season took a hit, is when he went down, they didn't win another game that year. So it's just – and he's going to miss the first half of the season. Tucker Kraft's going to miss the first half of the season. But we're not talking about the Packers. I'm just saying, like, let's talk about benching. Who do you got?
Yeah. So I've got Kirk Cousins. I think he's going to struggle a decent amount behind this really poor line. He can't really move that well. And they're going to see what Fernando Mendoza has, pretty much. I think it's going to be, I don't know, maybe week 7, 6, somewhere in there. I think that's what we're going to end up getting. And Kirk Cousins is going to end up just sitting by and probably retiring after this season. I don't know if he still wants to play or not. But, yeah, for me, it's Kirk Cousins pretty easily. I think you spend the first overall pick on Mendoza. You want to see what he can do in his rookie season. Even if the line is poor and you don't really have that many weapons, et cetera, et cetera. I think they're still going to throw him out there to get some valuable reps in a season that's probably meaningless anyways.
I'm curious to see, because if that's the case, right, I think that they're not going to let Mendoza get banged up. I think they're going to let Kirk get out there. He's getting a lot of money this year. They're going to let him get beat. Is he going to be able to hold it, though? Well, unless he gets injured, I think he's going to play at least until week 12, no matter what happens.
Tough roster. I'm looking at the roster. It's so bad.
They still got Jeanty. They still got Bowers, and maybe they'll do something with what's his name, that wideout from Tennessee. I kind of like him, but he's
Dante Thornton Jr. If he can figure out how to run a route and actually run his track speed on the field, then yeah, maybe. I love Besh too, but I mean,
we'll see. We'll just see. I think he's going to play. Kirk Cousins is going to play 12 games before Mendoza gets in there. There's just no doubt. They're not going to let the number 1 overall QB do what Cam Ward did last year. There's a lesson in there. If you're not contending, don't play your starter. Let him learn the intricacies of the NFL. It's not Indiana. It's not Cal. He went to Cal. It's not that stuff. You're definitely taking a step up in competition. Sure. And if the Raiders know, listen, man, our front line, but they invested some money there, so it's a wait and see. Where's he at? Thornton was supposed to be prime Randy Moss. I like Thornton too, but we'll see. But it's just
he was talking him up like he was going to be the next Randy Moss.
I don't think any player from Tennessee will ever be that good. But Kirk Cousins, not a bad choice. I, on the other hand, think it's going to be whoever's starting in Minnesota, because we don't know. We don't know, right? What is Kyler Murray going to look like under Kevin O'Connell? Is it going to be J.J. McCarthy? Are they going to give up first-round capital that fast? He had a bit of an attitude problem. We'll see. I didn't like McCarthy in Michigan. He was a handoff merchant, in my opinion. I couldn't believe the Vikings, although I was very grateful they did. I couldn't believe Minnesota took him in the first-round pick, but I was just over the moon. When teams that I hate take players that I hate, it's just like the gift that keeps on giving. But the Vikings piss me off when they take good players like Dallas Turner. Like, don't do that. Don't take Alabama players, Detroit Lions. Stop doing it. Because that means I got to root against them when they're pros. And I don't like doing that. Brian Branch and Jahmyr Gibbs and all these other players that go. Dallas Turner, once you go pro, I kind of want you to taper off a little bit when you're playing the Packers at least. But no love for the Vikings or the Lions. Bears, none.
I'll be honest here. So I do think, just based on McCarthy's attitude throughout training camp, I think they've already given the job basically internally to Murray. I think Murray has been playing good. I've heard really great things about McCarthy in camp, but his demeanor and the way he's talking to media and things like that, you probably saw a thing that came out a few weeks ago about how they had asked both of them about their relationship with each other, and McCarthy had such a strange, almost childish answer. And Murray, obviously, he's had the Xbox, Call of Duty stuff, in the past, but he's always been a super good person in terms of the media, and he's always said the right things. So I think Murray gets the job, and I don't think that McCarthy gets a shot this year. But if McCarthy does get a shot, I think you've probably got the right answer here. And McCarthy ends up getting benched probably before midseason to see what Murray has. So next question, who's going to be the dark horse Super Bowl contender? And for me, I have the Indianapolis Colts. People forget how, I want to say there were 7-1 last year in the first 8 games.
Yeah, they were a wagon.
And then they started, obviously Daniel Jones got hurt. They had some other injuries here and there. But the Colts they lost Michael Pittman Jr., but they landed big with Tyler Warren. Jonathan Taylor was healthy last year. Daniel Jones looked amazing. We're going to have to see what he looks like off that Achilles tear. But offensively, looked really good. Defensively, they had their moments. I think the Colts can be a 10, 11-win football team if everything works out right. I think that's very reasonable. So I'm going to say Shane Steichen can pull it together and possibly get a playoff win or two, and maybe be a dark horse Super Bowl contender.
Dark horse is the right word. I don't know if they're contenders for the Super Bowl, but they do have a great bag. They do like Alec Pierce. You're high on Tyler Warren. I'm not so sure. We'll see. I mean, when Daniel Jones was in there, they were definitely cooking it up. I mean, even Phillip Rivers had his moments. We just got to wait and see. That's a wait and see for me. But it's not the worst. But Super Bowl, I think, is a stretch for that. That's why it's dark horse.
Well, for you, look, I think they're always in the
contention. Well, this is a team that I think, like I said, I've got 3 Bengals on the list. I got Burrow, and I've got them winning the North. And I think that this is dark horse Super Bowl contender. When this offense is on, it is on. I mean, they put up 40-something points. Joe Flacco was out there killing the Bears. The great Chicago Bears. Flacco, absolutely. Flacco. Flacco's almost my age, out there slaughtering the Bears with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and that core. I mean, defensively, they've got to pick it up, but this is dark horse. So I think if the Bengals make the Super Bowl, it's a dark horse shot. I think a divisional round is in order here. How about this? How about this playoff game? Let's just have a little fun. How much fun would it be to see the Cincinnati Bengals get on the road and go to Houston for a divisional game? How
best defense versus best offense? That'd be pretty nice.
Be a good divisional game. The winner goes on and plays in the AFC Championship. It just would be an ideal. It'd be my favorite divisional matchup besides when the Packers play in the divisionals this year. But that would definitely be up there. I like that matchup.
Defensive roster, and it is rough. They did get Dexter Lawrence, who, I mean, that's a big pickup at defensive tackle. But outside of that, I mean, it is rough. I like Jordan Battle, but literally that's it.
I'm going to back up though when you said about the Colts, and I am going to give Green Bay a little bit of love here. They let Quay Walker walk in the offseason and let him go to the Raiders. I do think that getting Zaire Franklin in Green Bay is going to make a world of difference. Listen, I'm going to plug the Packers here. When they get right, their front four is going to be Van Ness, Devontae Wyatt, Hargrave comes over from San Francisco, and Parsons. You got Franklin in the middle, and your secondary is a little bit weak, but you got Adrian Cooper. Your front 7 are great. You still got Xavier McKinney in the secondary. It's just corner's always going to be Javon Bullard has taken a step up. It's their corners that have been the weakest link. I mean, I just think the Packers have a top 5 defense when Parsons get back. They won't have him for the first part of the season. They're gonna be a team that comes on late. Last 2 seasons they fizzled out late. This is the year when everybody gets healthy. Kraft comes back late in the season. Kraft and Parsons are going to start on the pup. And we're going to see what they do. We're going to have Reed, who missed a bunch of games last year. Like last year, the Packers got hit with the injury bug. So I think this year they don't. So I'm going to throw them in there. And I do think that they win the North. I do. They're going to be a late push. They're going to win like 6 in a row to win the division. Just saying.
Well, we've got 2 questions left, and this is, a lot of everybody's asking themselves this question: who's going to win the Super Bowl this year? And this team has had a terrible history with Super Bowls. They've been to their fair share of them. They've just never been able to get over the hump.
Hold on. Before he reveals this, I'm going to give you guys a little spoiler without revealing it. Bobby and I both picked teams that have never won a Super Bowl to win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
We both picked teams that have never won a Super Bowl to win it. So just wanted to say that. I wanted a prerequisite to our 11 viewers. By the way, shout out to our 11 viewers. I want to give them a round of applause for sitting through this entire thing. Thank you so much for tuning in to Justin Paul Sports. And again, I want to say if you want to support the channel, you can definitely hook it up by just shooting me a Venmo. There is my Venmo. Just send me a little love, a little tip, little things along that sort. It greatly helps channel. Everything that goes in the Venmo will definitely help build this channel. We want to get my subscribers aren't high like Bobby's. I don't get those kinds of cool stuff because I don't know how to do all that video editing, so I have to do these lives. But I didn't mean to prerequisite there. We got 12 viewers. Bobby, who is your Super Bowl pick for the people?
I've got the Buffalo Bills, man. I think roster-wise, they're not the best roster in the NFL, but they just know how to win games. The coaches, I love the coach there. James Cook had a phenomenal year last year. Josh Allen, look, I'm a Chiefs fan. I love Patrick Mahomes, but he has regressed over the past couple seasons just because of the offensive state for the Chiefs. I think Josh Allen, what he does on the football field is probably better than any other quarterback in the NFL right now. Consistently. Caleb Williams is up there, but he doesn't do it like Josh Allen does consistently. And they brought in DJ Moore, and I thought the Bills were just a wide receiver away from being great. And they brought in DJ Moore, who I think is phenomenal. They still have Shakir there. And defensively, they've always been a pretty solid unit. They got Gardner Johnson in. Still got Ed Oliver, Bradley Chubb. They're a very underrated defensive unit. And I think DJ Moore, weirdly enough as that sounds, I think DJ Moore gets them over the hump. And I think it gives Josh Allen just enough support to really finally get through the playoffs. He doesn't have the boogeyman of Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if they're a Super Bowl contender this year. I think they still got a little bit of work to do. I think Josh Allen finally gets past the boogeyman and he actually gets it and wins it all.
Well, the Bills do debut their new stadium, so what an omen that would be to open the premier your stadium and win the entire Super Bowl. So we'll see, though. I mean, like you said, they get those playoff boogeymen, but I don't believe in all that. I don't buy all that hype. Like, it's just a thing to tease fans. Like, Cowboys fans have been hearing the grief, but they've had some good runs there. They just had a Packers problem in the playoffs. Simple as. You just run into a team. You had a 49ers problem in the playoffs. It just sometimes it just happens. It's funny you talk about the Chiefs. I think that a spicy take is I think Mahomes will never get to those levels again. I don't
know if that's a hot take, man. I think he's already 30. He's past 30 now, and his best season still to date is his second season.
Well, it doesn't even need to be crazy like that as much as, he does a lot of things right. And remember, he did, tear his knee up in the last game of the season. I don't think you just come out the gates like that. The Chiefs could be taking a regression step here, and it shouldn't surprise too many people. But we'll see what they have. I mean, Rashee Rice, if he can come out there and he just feeds him, he might be all right. So Xavier Worthy has to step up for Kansas City for sure. He's got to do it. Like, they've swung and missed there. But they went and got Ken Walker. I mean, you'll get a Super Bowl MVP regardless of what your feelings are about it. You're going to have some difference in the backfield. He's much better than Pacheco and what they had back there. So maybe the Kansas City just changes their route. And you just have to have elite defense. I mean, they've got to get, this might be it for Kelsey, and this might be it for what's his name, Jones, on the defensive side of the football. And those are two great players, two Hall of Fame players. Yep. So the Chiefs are trending down, but the dynasty quite isn't over yet. I think last year was just kind of an anomaly, but I don't think that Mahomes is going to throw for 4,540 again. Like, I just don't see it. But Buffalo winning the Super Bowl, first time. My pick. I had to think of something here. I don't like doing this early without too much preseason action a little bit and getting a better feel for it. But I think this might be a team that Harbaugh breaks his, and I don't like Jim Harbaugh, folks, as a coach. I'm not a Jim Harbaugh guy at all. We got Bentley here. Go Birds. We'll see. It's another team. I think it's another team taking a step back there, though. But we're not talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that Gadsden's got a year under his belt. I like their Hampton situation in the backfield. I think they've got two of their best offensive linemen were injured the whole season last year. It's going to make Justin Herbert way better in the passing game. I'm really, really high on Quentin Johnston. A lot of people like teasing about his drops. Devontae Adams had 3 seasons like that, but I can't tell you how many games last year Quentin Johnston had 2 touchdown catches.
Yeah,
I think they've got
he had a silently great season last year. I mean, he didn't have 1,000 yards, but he had like 8 touchdowns and like 800 yards or something like that. It was a solid season.
And I think Ladd McConkey will make a difference. I think he'll be healthy next year. He's never been healthy for a full season. That goes back to his days at Georgia. Like, he just never could get that part of his game together. But sometimes the cards fall into place and you have to have everything go your way. I think with the way that the Chargers run their offense, I think that they're going to be the team in Los Angeles. Can you imagine a Chargers-Rams Super Bowl? LA versus LA? Like, can't get any better than that, folks. But I think the Chargers break the curse. I think Justin Herbert wins the Super Bowl. And I think that you're going to see great seasons from Hampton, from Gadsden, from QJ. Defensively, they'll be fine. I think the AFC West is open. The Broncos are going to get run for their money. I don't think Kansas City. I don't think the Raiders are going to be there. So those were the 2 playoff teams last year from the same division. So I don't like to – I think they get over the hump. I think that Los Angeles rejoices with another Super Bowl trophy.
And, I mean, you really have to look at the roster. I mean, it's a phenomenal roster. People don't understand. Last year, they lost both of their franchise tackles. They have 2 franchise tackles. They have Rashawn Slater, who went out before the season even started, and then Joe Alt, who had been banged up pretty much all year. So they lost both their tackles and still finished second in the West. You know, Justin Herbert's great. Hampton looked pretty solid when he was healthy. Keaton Mitchell's a great backup. And then I want you guys to pay attention to Brennan Thompson this year. He gets on the field very much. He played at Mississippi State last year. He's a phenomenal speedster. I'm very, very excited to see what they dial up. And, you know, Josh McDaniels. Wait, is that his name? Josh McDaniels? Or Josh Daniels? I don't remember. The head coach of the Dolphins. I forget his name. He's the offensive coordinator. He runs a really fun offense. Mike McDaniels. That's right. Mike McDaniel. Yeah. Look, he runs a really fun offense, and he's got a lot of weapons. I mean, Quentin Johnston, Ladd McConkey, Brennan Thompson's a speedster. Gadsden, you forget they signed David Njoku. I mean, they've got a ton of weapons. Herbert is a dark horse MVP candidate, in my opinion. He's finally got the right coordinator. He's got a ton of weapons. And, I mean, the defensive side of the ball is pretty good, too. You still got Derwin James, Khalil Mack. I mean, they've got a bunch of solid players as well. But now we'll go ahead and go on to the last question. Before I go over the last question, thank you, everybody that's watched the live stream. I really, really appreciate it. An hour and a half for the, shout out to you guys. But who wins Super Bowl MVP? And for me, I think is pretty straightforward. I think Josh Allen finally puts on the cape and it doesn't come off this time. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people because he's always had some struggles here and there in the playoffs, just had a problem, just couldn't get over the hump. I think this is his season where he just blasts people this year throughout the regular season and the playoffs, and has a historic run in the playoffs and ends up winning it all. I think Josh Allen, you could see 2 or 3 rushing touchdown performance in the Super Bowl for him.
It's not a bad pick. If Bills are your pick, you usually go with a quarterback to win the Super Bowl MVP.
Yep.
So to no shock to anybody else, Guess who my Super Bowl MVP is? Justin Herbert. First of all, if your name is Justin, right? Listen, you're gonna be tall, you're gonna be handsome, you're gonna be smart, you're gonna be amazing, you're gonna know how to talk to girls, you're gonna be elite in life. Not everybody can live a Justin lifestyle. Do you understand? Do you know what kind of burden that is to live a Justin lifestyle? I mean, this is a man who's been carrying a team that, to be fair to the Chargers, they've had a string of good quarterbacks. I mean, they had Phillip Rivers before Justin Herbert, and prior to him, they had Drew Brees. They've had Dan Fouts. So this hasn't been a quarterback-dried franchise like the Bears, for example, or the Cardinals that really just haven't had any elite talent there, or the Lions, to where they get them every so often. But I think the Chargers win the Super Bowl. I think it's a close game. I think he throws a game, maybe not a game-winning touchdown, but something to set him up maybe in field goal position to kick a game-winning field goal to win the game. I think this is it. I think Justin Herbert is the guy. I think that he's going to be Los Angeles royalty. I mean, for a city that doesn't care that much about the NFL, I think he's the guy that's going to do it. So with that being said,
well, I want to say one thing about Justin Herbert before we close it out. He's another guy, just like Josh Allen, that has had a bunch of issues in the playoffs, kind of like Lamar Jackson, where it's almost like a curse. That one season, I want to say 2024, where he only had like 2 interceptions the whole year. And then one playoff game, he throws 4 picks, double the amount of interceptions. I don't know if that's in his head, but I think he can finally get over the hump as well, because he's super talented and he's got a great coordinator and all the weapons in the world. So I'm excited to see what the Chargers do. As a Chiefs fan, I hope they don't do too well, but
Sure. I hear you. You don't want to root for your division rivals, just like I'm so excited for the Bears. When those Bears go 8-9, when they go 8-9, what are they going to say then? Just what are they going to say? What kind of excuses? I can't, the excuse folder is going to be from here to Massachusetts. I could just see it now. They're going to make exemptions. The fantasy football strategist is going to have so many tears going down his face in this fit of rage when the Bears just go 8-9 and they're drafting 13th overall and they whiff on that as well. But we're going to close out the show. One more time, I'm going to promote my CFL pick package. So here's the video one more time.
We are playing Montreal in Montreal. Right. We are playing on the road. We are playing in a dome. We are playing in front of 65,000 screaming fans. Men, we got them right where we want them. We got them right where we want them.
That's right. Justin Paul Sports is your premier partner for sports betting. Follow me here on YouTube. Follow me on X at Justin Paul Sport. Follow my TikTok at Justin Paul Sports. TikTok stuff is mostly Alabama college stuff there. All the live streams are here on YouTube. Bobby, before we get out of here, we're 90 minutes in. Anything you want to promote?
Yeah, man. I've been switching to film breakdowns on my channel. Apologies for all the Dynasty lovers that have subscribed to me over the past year. But yeah, I'm switching the channel over to more of a film breakdown. Still kind of putting my fantasy insights into everything. But if you love the film breakdowns that I've been doing, expect a lot more of that. Literally just dropped Tyler Warren today. So if you guys want to go check that out, I just posted a few hours ago. So
one of my favorite things is when we did the college football preview show that you had film breakdown. And I hope that you do that again for our shows this year, because I love college football breakdown. It's my favorite sport, as everybody knows who knows me. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, Justin Paul Sports, last thing that I'll promote one more time on my own channel, because this is my channel, is if you want to help the channel, just scan that Venmo, send me a little something. It just helps the channel. I think I'm going to try a couple things with the microphone here. I got some feedback saying it sounds the same as that previous microphone. I'm going to get to the bottom of this one way or the other. This is a Shure microphone, folks. This isn't cheap stuff here, and it should be sounding better than the one that I had. So I'm going to get that straightened away. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to sign off, and we will see you Wednesdays 8 o'clock Central. This is a rare opening segue to where it is on a Thursday, but it's going to be on Wednesdays going forward. So tune in next Wednesday, where we haven't quite decided the format of what the show will be next week, but I think we might do some of these same picks for college football. Maybe we'll come up with something like that. So until next week, this is Justin from Justin Paul Sports, and from my co-host Bobby from Bobby's Big Board. Again, make sure you go check out his channel. That's what his logo looks like. Best film breakdown in the business. Until then, we'll see you next time, and roll tide.